Welcome to ThinkTech on OC16, Hawaii's weekly newscast on things that matter to tech. I'm Jay Fidell.
And I'm Duke Oishi. I've been away, but now I'm back, ready for more tech on ThinkTech. Jay, I hope you missed me.
Yeah, Duke, we missed you. We did. We missed you. In our show today, we'll find out about Oceanit, a local tech company, and some of the research it's been doing at its building on the 4th Street Mall. We'll check in and get some special passes, just like the Pentagon.
And then we'll take a walk around the Oceanit research and laboratory spaces and talk with some of the researchers there and find out about their projects.
This and much more to come on ThinkTech. Oceanit is a science, technology, and engineering company, and lots of the research it does is dual-use development for both military and civilian purposes.
Cindy Matsuki, marketing manager for Oceanit, was our guide. She was fantastic. She introduced us to Glen Nakafjui, the director of corporate technology at Oceanit, and he told us about one of the dual-use projects he's been working on.
Been working on various pieces of technology, one of which is called augmented reality. And what it is a way to use your smartphone as a way to see other information in the universe. So if you turn on a smartphone in general and you look at the camera, you can get a view of the world. And so what we do is we have software that we design that can actually augment what you see. And so if you want to see certain pieces of information that have been logged statically, say for some applications we have for infrastructure, and you can just hold up the phone and you can see what the object is, how far away it is, and you can click on it, interact with it, and be able to tell details on it. So in other words, it's kind of like a little bit like your Superman vision, except it's not quite super yet. So, but it's really useful for clients that we have for visualizing information, especially if they're at a location that they hadn't been before and they wanted to get oriented. The dynamic version is if you're getting a feed, say, from a sensor. There is a hostile actor with a weapon at a particular location. I can't see him with my eyes, but if I hold this up, it tells me how far away he is and what he's carrying, what he's firing. With this particular application, when you hold it down, what you see is your location with the blue dot, and the red locations are all the targets that have been logged around us, and these are static locations, okay? Now, if I hold it up, it flips to a cursor mode. And so now, superimposed on the real world are these other things. And it gives you the range to those objects, and if you tap on it, then it gives you details on that particular object.
So it's all in the database.
It's
the
all in the
value of
database.
the program is the value of the data.
Yes, it's the value of the data, and this we view it as it's just another window to the world. And that's why it's with the name augmented reality, because you're just augmenting what you see normally.
So did you make this yourself?
No, like everything else around here, it's very much an effort, a team effort. So one of the ways that we come up and develop things like this is there's a lot of participation from the staff, and pretty much everyone gets involved, and you get the seed of an idea, and then the collaboration is what basically makes it grow. Oh, one of the other projects I wanted to show you is the gunfire sensor that I mentioned before.
Yeah.
Okay, it's called the Hostile Fire Detection System, or HFDS.
Yeah.
And that system is pretty unique. What it is it's an infrared system, so it basically looks for the flash of a gun. Okay, so what it's looking at is a particular band, frequency band of temperature. Okay, so if somebody fires a gun, it can see the flash. You can see, in a lot of cases, the bullet that comes out of the barrel. It's detecting the position of where the flash came and very precisely locates the position and the identity of what's being fired. Each type of weapon will produce a very distinctive signature if you're looking fast enough. If you're not looking fast enough, all you see is this mushed out signal. This sensor is fast enough that it can actually distinguish the differences between different weapons. And so that's a big benefit to a user, because they can now determine, not only where something's firing, but exactly what they're dealing with. Okay, so what you're seeing here is this is a Humvee, and what's shown on top is the HFDS sensor. The HFDS sensor has what's called a fisheye lens, so it can see in 360 degrees. And in this case, what the animation is showing, it picks up a signal, a sun glint. It's called sun glint or reflection, which that's something actually that fools sensors quite a bit. Another source that can confuse infrared sensors are things like cigarettes, anything that has a hot contrast with the background. In this particular case, because of the speed, the sensor doesn't get fooled by it. Okay, so in this part of the animation, there's actually a sniper that's firing a bullet from a location some distance away. In this particular case, the sensor will be able to determine that this is actually a gunshot. All because of what I mentioned before, that there's a distinctive signature, a distinctive fingerprint from the weapon.
Then Cindy took us to meet Ismael Medrano, a mechanical engineer, David Siu, an electrical engineer, and Frank Price, an optical engineer, all at Oceanit. They told us about a project they've been working on which lets first responders, like firefighters, send data back to their commanders with a new kind of instant wireless network. This would have been very helpful on 9/11.
It's called Whisper, and we're laying down a breadcrumb trail to communicate data to an outside site commander. So the firefighter carries a dispenser with him that has a built-in radio and microcontroller and a lot of hardware. As he goes further into the building, when the signal drops to that first repeater node, it checks the second repeater node.
Automatically?
Automatically, yeah.
Rejects.
Everything
Oh.
is hands-free. And he's basically laying down a trail of repeater nodes as it goes into a building, as is every single first responder. And all the first responders, their data can bounce through any of the nodes back to the site commander, and the data gets sent outside. So then the site commander will be able to tell things like heart rate, respiration, temperature, how many repeaters they have left, the battery level, things like that.
Can you show us as one of these little nodes look like?
Sure.
Okay, and on the back side, it's just a clip.
Yeah, it's a battery holder, actually.
Battery.
This is what the dispensers look like. So they have a magazine in them that you fill full of nodes. Each dispenser has a built-in radio. You would have sensors on your body, for example, a heartbeat sensor or what have you, that would actually also wirelessly communicate with the dispenser and in turn would relay the information.
So the team is what, 3 people?
So yeah, there's 3 of us. There's myself, David Siu, and Frank Price.
So this is just a simple user interface where you have like a couple of firefighters at the top, their status, how many nodes they have, and the battery level of the dispensers that they have. As things change in a dynamic environment, this will show what's going on to the site commander.
So how did this idea come up? Were you guys having coffee one day at Starbucks or what?
No, there was a solicitation from the Department of Homeland Security, and they wanted a good way of getting information from firefighters inside buildings that are challenged by buildings with challenging RF environments, to get information out from them to a central location. And so we came up with this approach to do that.
I can't help but thinking of 9/11.
Exactly.
That's probably what they were thinking about.
Yes. That's what spurred this.
When we were done with David Siu and his friends, Cindy took us for a quick walk around the offices at Oceanit.
and no visit to Oceanit would be complete without a tour of its laboratories. So we went there too and met with Tom Hasling, Oceanit's senior scientist.
I saw this room at your 25th birthday party, which was about 6 months ago or so. And it's on 4th Street Mall. It's got many laboratories here, and it's got a feeling about it that makes you think that great inventions are going to come out of this room. Tom Hasling is a medical researcher person, PhD.
Hi. Nice to meet you.
Thank you for meeting us here, and we're really interested in what you're doing. And we'd sure like to know if you could tell us about your projects and show us what you can show us.
Well, we have a whole bunch of projects going on for medical. We have one that is a treatment for breast cancer, so we're using some of our material science concepts and combining it with medicine as a way to treat breast cancer in a more effective way, so it's not as toxic to the patient. We're also working on some for the military to look at ways to detect very small traces of molecules in a very rapid manner, and other ones for use even on the battlefield to stop hemorrhaging for soldiers. What we have here is this is a scanning electron microscope. Works a bit like a regular microscope, it just uses electrons in order to look at things.
Looks like a pretty fancy coffee maker to me.
Yeah, that doesn't make very good drip coffee though. So what I was going to just put in here now was just an example. I grabbed some spores from the ferns. So I'm going to set it at 30,000 volts.
Can I stand next to it?
Yeah, it's fine.
I feel drawn to it, you know.
What it's doing is just like this scanning on the back of your television screen. This microscope is capable of looking down to 1 nanometer, which is beyond really comprehension of how small that is.
So now we're going to look at the gecko foot. A cell in the gecko foot? Or
We're going to look below a cell,
below a cell.
much smaller than a cell.
So why is the gecko foot so interesting? Just
Well,
the way it shows?
Yeah, what's interesting about a gecko foot is they actually are taking advantage of some very basic forces between molecules that you wouldn't think. So when two things get really close together, you get this thing called van der Waals forces. So when two objects get really on a super small scale, get very close together, it creates a little bit of an attractive force. We actually have a project where we're trying to mimic the behavior of a gecko foot in order to make an adhesive.
See what we learned from nature.
So this is relatively low magnification, so that's a single toe of a gecko. So if I keep going in, looking at it closer and closer, those little hairs not only are just hairs, they keep splitting into smaller hairs. So right now we're way below, these are way smaller than a cell. So these little pads, these little items right here are interacting with the surface, like literally the molecules of glass on the surface. The molecules hold together because they're together. Once they get close enough together, you get these forces, kind of like a magnetic attraction. Once it gets close enough, it gets stronger and stronger. So this is a grain of sand, actually from Waikiki, just a little grain of sand, but as it turns out, it's actually a little piece of coral. This would look to your eye just like a piece of sand. And so as we go closer and closer on this guy, we can look down inside of one of those little holes.
Isn't that amazing? It looks like Renaissance architecture. The leg of a mosquito?
Yeah. Right here. And you'd think that they'd be all smooth, but they're actually covered in all these little hairs.
What's something like this cost? $50,000?
Almost 600,000.
Oh my God! While we were at the Oceanit laboratories, we couldn't help but stop by and say hello to our old friend, Vinod Veedu, the famous Dr. V, Oceanit's senior nanotechnology engineer. We found him there with his young friend, Joseph Grandinetti, future Hawaii scientist from, you guessed it, Wilson Elementary School.
Hi Joseph, how are
Hi.
you?
Hi, Dr. V. I'm good.
Okay, great you came to Oceanit.
Thanks.
Okay, so we're going to do 2 experiments today.
Okay.
One we will do with air. And by the way, before we go to all those things, let me introduce Joseph. So Joseph is my #1 fan for the Dr. V show that we do on Hawaii News Now. The first experiment is about air. And do you know that there is weight, air has weight, and air applies pressure. And I'm going to do the first experiment on air weight, okay?
Okay.
So what we have here, this is actually, I have balanced, or you have balanced 2 balloons. It's not blown yet. 2 balloons here, and it's sort of balanced now, right? Right? And if it has air, something should happen, right? One of
Yeah.
these balloons. So now I'm going to replace it with a blown balloon.
Yep,
So
that
please
one.
go ahead and have that balloon. So let's replace this. So this is the balloon with the air. Pretty much the same size, but I have air in it.
Yeah.
Okay?
So it's bigger now.
It's bigger. And
Now it's smaller.
it's bigger for a reason, because there is air in it.
Yep.
Right? So let's see what happens. So you said the balloon with the air should
Yep.
go down.
Yeah, and now it should go up
And why do you think it should go down?
because air has mass.
Air has mass.
Uh-huh.
Let's see. So this is the balloon with the air in it.
Uh-huh.
Great. So the balloon on this side has air in it, and air has mass.
Yep.
That's why it's pulling it down,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
So we'll do an experiment on air pressure. You know what is pressure?
Yeah.
If you apply a force at an area, that's called pressure.
But if you have no force there, you just, and it's gonna go flying.
Okay, let's see. So I have the paint stirrer here.
Uh-huh.
Okay, and I just keep it here,
Yeah, and you
and
fly
I
it.
want you to really, I want to just see what happens if I keep. What's going to happen?
It's gonna fly.
Let's see.
Oh, yeah, it floats.
Okay. Now what I really want to do, I want to take a newspaper. You see a newspaper right there?
Yeah.
Okay.
I got it.
Okay. It's a regular newspaper. And then you cover it. Okay, this way. Let's go this way. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, now I seal it. Okay. Let's see. So, you want me to do it? Let me see.
I can do it. Oh, broke in 2.
You can collect both. See what happened? It broke.
Yeah.
Maybe you can show it on the camera. Just broke into 2 pieces, right?
Yep. I can't believe it. It's like, how did it broke though?
What happened?
I think it broke because it has mass on it, and because this has like full,
Right.
and then let's see that again because this like
So when
this.
I hit it, maybe you can turn it. So when I hit it this way, without the paper on it,
Yeah, it flies.
there is air pressure on it,
Yeah.
right? But
Yeah.
it's not enough to hold it in place.
But
But
if you
when I
have
seal
that
it-
yeah, it's gonna fly.
There's a huge surface area, and
Yeah.
there's lots of air pushing this down.
Yeah.
So it's holding it down, so that when I hit it, it's almost like I'm holding it and hitting it, right?
Yeah.
It'll break. So that's why.
That wasn't the end of it. We went back to say hi to Oceanit's founder and CEO, Pat Sullivan.
When you live in Hawaii, you're forced to do disruptive thinking because we don't have the domain expertise just lying around. More and more of what we're doing is around research funded through the federal government, and the biggest funder in the federal government for research is Department of Defense. We've been part of the missile program. The research for that started with a project around turbulence. We developed a method to shoot light through turbulence. We were shooting a laser through a turbulent boundary layer, which was a difficult problem because you end up with a distorted optical system because you're going through air that's fluctuating so quickly, especially in a high-speed aircraft, that you don't get a clean beam. And so we developed an approach to deal with that problem, which created an extremely fast optical system that was able to characterize the air. That created the basis of a technology that could then be used in a variety of things, from sniper fire detection to missile defense and other things. And that will eventually lead to things like cars that drive themselves. Another interesting example is DARPA, DARPA Defense Advanced Research Project Agency. A few years ago, there was a guy, a law student, was visiting, or he was out at Nanakule, got hit in the side of the head, and it killed him, the blow to the head. Basically popped a blood vessel, and that's a very common injury for a head trauma. Your chances of dying in 5 minutes are almost 90%. And the technology hasn't improved since the Incas decided to drill a hole in your head to let the pressure out.
Is that what the Incas did?
Yeah.
To their credit.
We can give them the credit for that. And so things haven't changed much since then. Now we've developed a way to point essentially a laser at your head that can find the injury and stop the bleeding.
Look through the skull.
Look through the skull without penetrating the skull.
Wow.
Without making a hole in the
That's
skull, I should say.
disruptive.
Disruptive. See, no one's ever done anything quite like it. You're making light do things you never thought it could do. And so that's another defense-funded thing. Now, a lot of what Oceanit does is not at all related to the Department of Defense. Some of it is NIH, Department of Commerce. We work for the Board of Water Supply. We do work on environmental issues. We bring technology where it's needed, but there's no geographic boundaries. There's no scientific boundaries. There are basically no boundaries. They can collaborate with anybody on the planet, any professors, anybody they want to. We don't really care. Hawaii uniquely hosts this very interracial, cultural mix that makes Hawaii the special place it is. I think that's a real asset we have here that we take for granted, and I think it leads to and it creates a natural environment for innovation. I mean, we actually started a global operation this year, so we're looking at things from everywhere from the Middle East to Indonesia to Europe.
You've gone beyond your branch offices on the mainland then.
Well, yeah, I mean, we started, we will be at the Paris Air Show next year,
Great.
which is the first real major international show. We're managing some of the issues around that, and we are trying to encourage some of the local companies to go. It's an enormous market. And so instead of just trying to sell to the U.S. military, which, you know, it's a blessing to have the Pacific Command right here in our backyard, but the rest of the world is in need of solutions as well.
But the world's getting smaller all the time.
Right. And Hawaii can offer a lot to the world, I think, if we kind of look in the mirror. And that's where we got to start.
Oceanit is a great organization with great people and a great research culture, and one of the leading local research and development companies in Hawaii. Want to know more? Check it out at oceanit.com.
On November 18th at the Plaza Club, the Hawaii Venture Capital Association, HVCA, will present its Entrepreneur of the Year Award. Here's Bill Spencer, president of HVCA, to tell us more.
Bill, there's a big rumor going on that on November 18th, you're going to have a Venture Capital Association program at the Plaza Club involving your annual Entrepreneur of the Year Award. Is this true?
It's true. It's a true rumor, and we're really excited about it because this is the annual event where we honor entrepreneurs in a variety of categories. Runs the whole gamut, and it's an opportunity to celebrate entrepreneurship with some really great people.
Who's the speaker?
Well, we've invited this year John Dean. John Dean, as you know, is quite the supporter of entrepreneurs. He has a venture capital firm called Startup Venture Capital. And he also founded the Entrepreneurship Foundation.
Can you give us a handle on who might be receiving these awards?
Well, let's just put it this way, they're all well-deserved.
That's as much as you're going to tell us. Eh?
No, you got to come. That's part, this is like the academy.
On December 16th, the state's Strategic Development Corporation, HSDC, is doing a symposium on best practices in entrepreneurial development with speakers from Ohio, Oklahoma, and Kansas. Here's Carl Fuchs, CEO of HSDC, to tell us more.
You are having a terrific program on December 16th and 17th right here at the Pacific Guardian Life Building across the street. And it involves entrepreneurship, and it tries to raise awareness in the business community of other programs in other states on entrepreneurship.
Right, this is second in our series, I guess, of best practices symposium that we've hosted, where we try to bring to Hawaii award-winning programs from other states that have really succeeded in bringing technology development and innovation to their communities. And the three programs we've selected this year are Jumpstart from Ohio, I2E from Oklahoma, and Kansas Pipeline from Kansas.
Why do I want to come and watch the program?
These are very exciting programs. They marry an investment program where they invest in the companies that they sponsor, but more importantly, what they try to do is accelerate business innovation in their communities.
That's great, Carl. How do you sign up? Where do you find out more about this?
There will be a sign-up registration website available through Enterprise Honolulu. So I think that's enterprisehonolulu.com, and also through High Technology Development Corp, so htdc.org.
We'll be right back to wrap up this week's edition of ThinkTech, but first we want to thank our underwriters.
Thanks to the Scheidler Family Foundation. Jay Scheidler, through the Scheidler Family Foundation, is an active supporter of a number of educational, cultural, and charitable organizations, including ThinkTech Hawaii.
Hawaiian Electric Company, HECO and its affiliates Miko on Maui and Helco on the Big Island are deeply committed to supporting the communities they serve.
Galen Ho. Galen Ho is a senior executive of BAE Systems, a global defense, security, and aerospace company, which has a large footprint and commitment to Hawaii.
The High Tech Development Corporation, HTDC, is a state agency dedicated to developing Hawaii's high-tech industry, diversifying our economy, and providing quality jobs for our people.
That wraps up this week's edition of ThinkTech. Remember, you can watch ThinkTech on OC16 6 times a week, and actually some people do just that. For additional times, check out oc16.tv.
And for lots more ThinkTech videos and for underwriting opportunities on ThinkTech on OC16, take a look at our website, thinktechhawaii.com. Be one of our supporting sponsors.
I'm Jay Fidell. Thanks for joining us on ThinkTech.
And I'm Duke Oishi. Aloha, everyone.